My name is Bryan. My job is composer and small business owner, and my salary fluctuates, but last year it was around $250,000. So when I got into Carnegie Mellon, I was fortunate enough to get a sizable scholarship, and I believe I was left with $50,000 in student loans. And my father at the time told me that he would pay it off. And instead, I convinced him to use that money towards a down payment of a house. So when I got into Yale, he used that money to purchase a house in New Haven. And I was lucky enough to live there. I didn't have any room and board. It was a 2-bedroom, so I rented it out. I rented the second bedroom out. And at one point, actually, I slept on the couch and rented both rooms out. But after I graduated from Yale, we sold the house, and he got his $50,000 back, and I got the profit, which was around 40 grand at the time. For me, living in New York, just in general, people figure it out. You figure out, where to get an apartment or sharing an apartment. As a musician, though, it's tricky because typically, you're forced to write at home. It was only until right before I left New York that I actually could afford. I had an $1,800 a month recording studio that I was working out of. But when you first get to New York, $1,800, studio. If that was your main apartment, that would be too expensive. So, so it's tricky on that front. Just figuring out where you're going to be able to work is tricky as a musician. But for me, also with New York City, the lifestyle of New York City, while beautiful, exciting, energetic, is such that you're constantly spending money whatever you do. And it's expensive. Lunch is $40, dinner is $60, a couple drinks here is $20. It's just every day you're spending $100 plus. Especially when you're in the music field, where part of the game is being a social person. Part of it is networking and going to shows. I was living in an apartment that cost about, I want to say, $1,400 a person. So I was $1,400. I don't even think that included utilities at the time, but $1,400 downtown Brooklyn, and then $1,800 first for a recording studio. So, I'm at $3,200, not including utilities, and then, trying to go out all the time and living this life that essentially existed on the streets, from cab to cab and train to train. And I just felt it was completely untenable. I was just never going to be able to get any further because whatever money I made, it immediately evaporated. So for me, moving to Los Angeles, while there are definitely, I think, interesting benefits and opportunities from a creative standpoint, for me, it was more about a lifestyle change. I had been talking to a music supervisor who told me, don't move to LA unless this is actually where you want to live. Don't move here as a business move. I felt a little bit unhinged in New York. I mean, I love New York City, but you're constantly running around. You constantly feel, a lot of financial pressure, and you feel a lot of competition and a lot of it's just very an intense lifestyle. So for me, LA was an opportunity to create more of a nuclear home. I eat at home. I stay in my neighborhood. I kind of go out a little bit less, and I would say that I work more on my own stuff. So my salary last year was $246,585, and I have an LLC chartered in New Jersey, and it allows me to be taxed in a pass-through manner. So I'm essentially taxed as an individual. As I mentioned, my full salary is $246,585. And from there, I start to deduct business expenses. The first of which on my return was advertising, which was $249. Then the big one, which was commissions and fees, which includes all the people I hire, including my agent and my manager, and that amounted to $69,858. After that, I have a line item for depreciation, which is the depreciation of the gear that I have, microphones and recording equipment. That was $7,997. After that, we have insurance, which is both for travel and for my gear, and that amounted to $3,183. So for legal fees, which amounted to $9,050, this includes my E&O insurance, which is errors and omissions. So just in case I were to accidentally get into a situation where somebody was claiming that I had plagiarized their music, or one of my composers had plagiarized their music, that insurance is to cover the legal fees for a suit in that area. After that, I have $12,133 in expenses for my office, which for me, for most of the year, was in my own house or in my own home. Then I have $20,401 for gear. Every year I buy, new equipment, whether they be plugins or microphones or instruments. After that, I had $4,189 for supplies for my business. And then I had around $16,376 for travel to various clients to pitch new projects. And then I had $13,569 for meals and entertainment. And then I have $8,811 for other expenses, and those include additional advertising, dues and subscriptions, whether those be for the union or for programs that I have that require, like music programs that I have that require subscriptions. It also includes wardrobe, gifts to clients, and auto rentals that I had. So my total expenses were $165,816. So you need to deduct that from my entire salary, and what you're left with is a profit of $86,999. But after that, I need to start paying my own personal taxes. So I have a self-employment tax, which was $9,423 last year. Then I owed the IRS personally $7,000, and I owed the state of New York $3,700 because I moved from New York actually to California. So my monthly salary at this point, when you deduct that, is $5,583. From there, I have, my regular monthly expenses. So the rest of my rent, which wasn't deducted from the office, was $500. The rest of my utilities, $50. Of course, the rest of the internet, the phone, the car, which amounted to $200. My student loans, which are $200 a month. My gym membership, which is $140, and the food that I use or food that I make at home every month, which is $800. So when you deduct that, I'm left with a savings of $2,893 a month. And last year I used every penny of that to purchase my new home. So I use that in the form of a down payment. Right now, I've been playing with a little bit of money in the stock market, though I don't know entirely that that's like the best place to go about saving for the future. It's more like just fun for now. But my goal in terms of saving is that I have a project right now that I'm working on that's about to close, and that chunk of money I know is going to a Roth IRA afterwards. So I guess that's how I go about savings. It's, I know there's certain projects that when they're big enough and when they close, I'm going to start moving this money into different areas where I can actually save. I think savings and an emergency fund to me are different. So for me, I kind of have like a rule that I want at least 20 to 30 grand in my bank account at any time. So I feel like if you can, if one can stick to a number that they always have in their bank account, that's kind of becomes like a good soft measure as to, you don't overspend that. In that 20 to 30 grand that I keep in my business bank account, there's kind of like an implied emergency fund within that. So I don't let things go to zero. Now, with regards to savings, I do want to save more. I look at the house as a form of savings. I took all the savings that I'd had before and put it in this house. And so I'm happy with that. Outside of that, like I was mentioning before, I had allocated a certain project that I knew that was going to be relatively lucrative to the goal of putting it in a Roth IRA, or at least some portion of it in a Roth IRA. What I learned about money as I started working is that you can always make money if that's your only goal. It gets trickier as you start to mix the goal of making money with creative pursuits. But the truth of the matter is if you took a job in finance or threw yourself simply into advertising, you could make money. People make lots of money doing advertising music. Now if you want to have a career in film and also do advertising, film obviously makes less money. Making a record makes less money. So it's just, again, parsing through how big of a divide it's going to be between the things you actually want to be doing and what are the things that are actually making money. The other thing that I learned about making money, is I think this is important, is that it's important to have, if you are fortunate enough to be in the position of the person hiring, it's important to have a code of ethics. I think when you own a business and things get tough, sometimes of your own creation, you can pass along the buck to other people. So if you're the one hiring people, you could easily kind of run the numbers on them and eyeball it and pay them less than you think is fair, simply because you're trying to make pad your bank account because of something that happened to you. And I think it's really important that business owners just have a code of ethics so that we don't all suffer from essentially the de-evaluation of music, which is happening right now.